In the stillness of the soul, we gather to witness the light of the divine. Divine guardians have formed an unseen shield around you, even as hidden figures lurk just beyond its perimeter, eager to bend your path to their will. A handful of individuals, parched as desert wanderers chasing a mirage, hungrily decode false signals and siphon off your vitality, convinced they cannot survive without drawing from your energy. Yet celestial sentinels work tirelessly behind the scenes, intercepting every ploy and guiding you safely through this profound transformation. And that tingling down your spine, it isn't irrational fear. It's your inner radar alerting you to their presence. A small cadre of onlookers is methodically dissecting your digital footprint, scrutinizing every photo you share to unearth clues about your routines, feelings, and the slightest fissure they could exploit to slip back into your sphere. Like museum curators cataloging ancient artifacts, erstwhile friends meticulously pore over your archives, piecing together patterns that expose your romantic entanglements, beloved haunts, or freshly adopted rituals. Your former flames scour your online footprints for any hint of doubt, loneliness, or sorrow, then craft persuasive messages designed to breach the barriers you've erected, weaponizing their words to pull you back into old, draining cycles. Meanwhile, relatives who once depended on the steady current of your spirit hover over your posts like strategists studying a battle map, searching for any misstep they can exploit to guilt you into repeating patterns that feed their needs at the expense of your well-being. In order to impress military intelligence specialists, the most advanced seekers have progressed from passive observation to active reconnaissance activities. They drive by places connected to your past, hoping to see a glimpse of your car or see you walking into places you know when you might be less vigilant. Some have enlisted mutual acquaintances to work as unintentional intelligence sources, gathering details about your present activities through what appear to be informal discussions that are actually well-planned interrogation sessions. Others, like predators observing their prey's migration patterns, have devised complex plans to plan their schedules around your assumed routines in order to manufacture chance encounters in locations they think you could appear. Since you started your transformation path, these seeking behaviors have increased significantly, leading to a phenomena that more closely approaches spiritual stalking than sincere concern for your well-being. They keep track of the mutual friends you communicate with online, looking for clues about your present social circle by examining like trends and comment threads. Some people have made fictitious social media personas in order to surreptitiously monitor your activities, while others utilize friends' accounts to continue monitoring after their primary profiles have been blocked. The most tenacious have even employed social media monitoring firms or private investigation agencies to trace your digital footprint on several platforms at once. Yellow heart if you feel the divine love. Now is the time to share. Click the super thank you button on YouTube to contribute $50 or more and help us spread God's blessings. What you do is being watched and serves as a seed, and in the future it will come back to you a millionfold. By forcing people to face parts of themselves they have been avoiding for years due to their connection to your light, your absence from their accessible reality has produced energy voids that are methodically undermining the basis of their emotional stability. For the first time in perhaps decades, they are feeling the actual emptiness of their inner landscape without your natural healing energy flashing back to them. Most people are channeling their worry into more desperate and complex attempts to rebuild their previous connection to your calming influence, rather than using this uncomfortable realization as inspiration for real personal healing work. The hermit phase you've been going through isn't a transient antisocial conduct or depressive symptoms that need to be treated with medicine or therapy. The full frequency recalibration you're going through is preparing your consciousness for duties, talents, and spiritual capacities that would have been well beyond the capacity of your former incarnation to manage such high energy demands. Your previous identity is being dismantled at the molecular level and reconstructed in accordance with the specifications that were present in your soul's blueprint prior to your first breath on this specific planet during this specific incarnation. much like a butterfly dissolving in its cocoon, while every cell restructures according to completely new genetic instructions. This transformation clarifies the seemingly incongruous paradoxes you have been experiencing, conundrums that have caused you to doubt your capacity for mental stability and emotional control, feeling more powerful than ever while also experiencing a level of exhaustion that sleep cannot alleviate, experiencing heightened intuitive abilities that are on the verge of telepathy while battling social anxiety in settings that once felt comfortable, experiencing spiritual growth at almost supernatural rates while physically withdrawing from situations, people, and activities that once brought you true joy and fulfillment. Your rational mind continues to reject these vital survival signals as paranoia, overanalyzing, or social anxiety that calls for medicine or treatment, even though your soul has been shouting protective warnings via every channel in your nerve system. Every canceled plan that left you feeling let down and alone in social situations, every sudden impulse to avoid familiar places without any rational explanation, and every unexplained panic attack that forced you to make last-minute changes to your routine. These weren't sporadic emotional swings or flaws in your character that needed to be fixed. Your spiritual defense mechanism has been working nonstop, building an imperceptible stronghold around your developing awareness. Although there are many types of energy vampires that circulate like sharks, looking for blood in metaphysical waters, the targeting you have been going through uses complex networks that span both physical and metaphysical dimensions, coordinating attacks intended to disrupt your transformation process at its most vulnerable points. On the physical level, you come across an abnormally high number of unfriendly customer service agents who seem personally motivated to ruin your day. Broken technology that functions flawlessly when repairmen show up but consistently malfunctions when you need it most, and bureaucratic roadblocks that seem to be created especially to squander your time and deplete your emotional reserves. These manifestations are proof that consciousness parasites are precisely guiding negative energy toward your purpose. They are not the result of random poor luck or technical errors. If you give a thank you gift of $75, it will be the first drop of rain that falls right in the center of a thirsty heart. The first group of seekers are people who have centered their entire emotional ecosystem around having unrestricted access to their innate healing powers, capacity for empathic absorption, and propensity to put the needs of others before their own. Over the course of months or years, these energy vampires evolved complex feeding habits that enabled them to pour their negativity, trauma, and unresolved emotional baggage into your empathic system while also draining your optimism, positivity, and life force. Through staged crises, emotional manipulation tactics, and calculated vulnerability displays intended to elicit your caregiving reactions, they learn to awaken your helping instincts. You experienced an unexplainable sense of exhaustion after spending time with these people, even when you were worn out or coping with personal difficulties. They would bring significant emotional baggage, unresolved trauma, and negative energy accumulated from their daily interactions to your meetings, even if the interactions initially appeared to be constructive, encouraging, or mutually beneficial. They would then depart feeling renewed, hopeful, and energized. These individuals were skilled at extracting your vitality while providing just enough affirmation, gratitude, and emotional support to keep you involved in the dynamic without realizing the parasitic nature of the exchange. It felt like you had been struck by an energetic freight train, carrying their unprocessed psychological debris. They're learning how much of their everyday functioning, emotional stability, and basic life management relied only on your energy supply rather than their own internal resources, now that you've cut off your access to them during your hermit phase. When they could routinely refuel from your light, simple activities seemed achievable. Today, they appear unattainable, overpowering, or beyond their capacities. Since they no longer receive the psychological solace and energetic stabilization that your presence offered, their sleep habits have drastically deteriorated. The symptoms of depression and anxiety that they managed to suppress with frequent energy transfusions from your system are now coming back with devastating intensity. causing internal turmoil that they completely attribute to your absence, instead of acknowledging as a sign of their own unresolved trauma and emotional dependency patterns. These energy vampires' withdrawal symptoms show up as compulsive thoughts about re-establishing contact with you by any means necessary, including deceit, guilt trips, fabricated crises, and complex plots intended to elicit your sympathetic reactions. They send messages through mutual friends to make you feel bad about putting your own healing first, fabricate crises in the hopes that you'll compromise your boundaries to help them, and keep an eye on your social media activity for any indications of vulnerability they might use to get back in touch. Some have even thought about taking more drastic steps, such as delivering prepared speeches about how much they miss your friendship and how they need your help throughout challenging life transitions at your place of employment, home, or other commonly visited areas. Dove brother and sister, everything done in faith is returned in God's abundance. You can donate $100 using the Super Thank You button and be part of this divine call. If your roots are connected to Him, your fruit will be blessed. The second group consists of highly skilled controllers whose entire sense of social standing, psychological stability, and personal power was based on their capacity to sway your emotions, decisions, and life choices in accordance with their agenda and preferences. These people see your successful escape from their web of manipulation as a personal declaration of war against their perceived control over your life and a serious challenge to their reputation as a manipulator. They are planning complex revenge campaigns under the guise of reconciliation attempts, hoping to regain their former dominance through sophisticated tactics that worked on your previous incarnation but will prove completely useless against your transformed consciousness. They are not seeking genuine reconnection based on mutual respect, healthy boundaries, and authentic care for your well-being. These controllers studied your behavioral patterns, vulnerabilities, insecurities, and triggers for years. With the help of experts in psychological warfare, they were able to pinpoint the exact words that could cause you to question your own judgment and choices, the circumstances that could trigger your guilt and people-pleasing tendencies, and the emotional triggers that could divert your focus from your own needs and toward their goals and priorities. In order to convince you that your discomfort with their treatment was due to your own oversensitivity rather than proper reactions to boundary violations, they developed sophisticated gaslighting techniques that caused you to doubt your own perception of reality when their behavior crossed clearly defined boundaries. Confused souls that detect something important occurring in your energy field but lack the spiritual language, psychological complexity, or emotional maturity to comprehend what they're seeing or know how to react correctly fall into the third group. These individuals feel as though destiny is beckoning them to find their soulmate, twin flame, or the final piece of the puzzle that will complete their life's mission, and they are drawn to you by mysterious magnetic pulls. Without understanding that being close to your elevated frequency would reveal the gap between their current reality and their unrealized potential in ways they aren't psychologically ready to handle, they delude themselves into believing that engineering encounters with you will magically solve their own stagnant circumstances, relationship issues, and unfulfilled dreams. These people frequently talk about feeling as though something significant is missing from their lives, but they are unable to pinpoint what that something might be or how to develop it on their own. They suffer from ongoing restlessness, discontent with their relationships and situation, and a continuous feeling that they should be living a different life, but they lack the bravery or dedication to make the required adjustments. Your energy is a representation of everything they want to be, but are too scared to try on their own. Therefore, instead of putting in the effort to cultivate those qualities via spiritual and personal development, they fantasize about acquiring them through association. Chance meetings with people they know are interpreted by them as messages from the cosmos to seek reconnection with greater tenacity. They look at postings made by mutual friends on social media to get a glimmer of your present activities, relationship status, and emotional condition. Instead of acknowledging that these stalking behaviors are violations of your clearly defined boundaries and evidence of their own psychological instability. Some have even thought about employing private investigators or using location tracking technology to find out where you are. They have justified these actions as romantic gestures or spiritual callings. The most hazardous group is made up of cunning observers who want to take advantage of your talents, spiritual growth, and growing influence in order to further their own careers, social networks, spiritual communities, or artistic pursuits. Like intelligence analysts, these people examine your behavior, keeping an eye on your digital footprint for hints about your whereabouts, upcoming plans, and potential weaknesses they might take advantage of. In an attempt to increase their own standing, credibility, and access to opportunities by associating with your growing energy and expanding influence, they devise complex plans to put themselves in your path when your defenses may be at their weakest. These predators know that if they are spotted with you at events, mentioned in your social media posts, or part of your inner circle, it would be a sign to others that they are someone you should pay attention to and associate with. They are prepared to devote a significant amount of time, money, energy, and psychological manipulation to creating situations that seem random but are actually well-planned ambushes intended to ambush you at times when you may be more vulnerable to their influence and less likely to understand their true intentions. A gift of $30 is a contemporary echo of Christ's compassion in feeding the hungry. The more you give, the more God multiplies. They've looked into your past romantic and platonic interactions to find trends in the kinds of people you've always considered appealing, interesting, or trustworthy, to create personas that mimic your preferences while concealing their predatory intents. They investigate your values, hobbies, communication habits, and spiritual beliefs to improve their chances of meeting you in settings where you feel at ease and receptive to new relationships. Some have even temporarily changed their lifestyle, taken up new interests, or changed the way they look. This type of coordinated predatory attention has been modeled for you by the same protective forces that guided your hermit phase, increasing your spiritual defenses and developing your ability to identify threats before they have a chance to take root in your experience. Every obstacle you've surmounted throughout your seclusion has been building up the particular spiritual muscles you'll need to manage several types of individuals attempting to access your energy at once without getting overpowered or controlled by their combined pressure. Your ability to discern between genuine connections founded on respect for one another and intricate manipulation tactics intended to take advantage of your innate empathy and yearning for deep connections has been honed by the loneliness you've experienced throughout this time of transition. Your boredom has been making room in your mind for opportunities that will necessitate making decisions right away without seeking input or agreement from those who lack the psychological sophistication to offer truly beneficial advice or the spiritual maturity to comprehend your mission. The purpose of the attacks is to get you to question your psychological stability and look for outside validation from those who are willing to give it to you in return for regaining access to your energy field and decision-making power. On the mental level, you experience recurring negative thoughts that don't sound like your own inner voice. You have trouble focusing on tasks that you used to find easy and interesting, and you are paralyzed when making decisions that should be simple given your values and preferences. The most advanced psychic attacks come in the form of unexpected health problems that go away as mysteriously as they appeared, sleep disorders that cause you to have vivid dreams about people from your past who shouldn't have access to your subconscious, and financial crises that appear just as you're starting to make progress toward significant objectives. These manifestations are intended to persuade you to go back to earlier patterns that made you vulnerable to energy vampires and controllers, and that your transformation journey is creating more issues than it is solving. However, acknowledging these multifaceted assaults justifies all of your sacrifices during this challenging time of development and shows something fundamental about your true nature and spiritual worth. If you weren't able to effectively manage this degree of planned opposition and advance past their ability to obstruct your purpose, you wouldn't encounter it. The cosmos functions in accordance with divine justice and perfect balance. It never presents difficulties without also offering the means, encouragement, and inner fortitude required for total triumph over the forces that aim to dim your light. Your spiritual immune system has been strengthened by every attack you have survived. It has taught you to identify hostile energies before they have a chance to infiltrate your experience, and demonstrated that your connection to protective forces is more powerful than any weapon that could be used against your consciousness. Your protective isolation has been serving a number of purposes at once that go well beyond merely withdrawing socially or taking a brief break from demanding obligations. As the transformation draws to a close, you will be inaccessible to anyone with lower vibratory goals, but you will also become available to anyone who is truly prepared to receive what you have to offer the planet. Glowing star, if you want to witness God's miracles, act now. Contribute $100 or more through Super Thank You on YouTube. Your offering is like a seed that comes back to you when planted. Let His light illuminate your steps. Every donation is an echo in His plan. The people who are currently looking for you will find that the locations themselves have changed, that the you they are looking for is only in their memories of who you were before, and that the protection surrounding your new life is governed by spiritual laws that they cannot understand, get around, or overcome by willpower or coercion. People who are hunting for energies will soon find themselves searching for shadows as the true you seizes chances they never could have foreseen or avoided. You become a lighthouse guiding other chosen ones through their own transformation into spiritual maturity and real power. And the hunt ends when the prey changes into something the hunter cannot recognize, leaving them hunting for someone who no longer exists in any form they can perceive. You would be shocked to learn how sophisticated and extensive the coordinated monitoring operations have become as a result of the seeking behaviors. Right now, several people are comparing notes on your location, exchanging data from various sources, and compiling thorough profiles of your present living habits. Envious acquaintances have forged strange friendships with ex-partners, sharing their knowledge of your likes and routines. Through mutual friends who observe your transactions or shared bank accounts, they examine your buying habits and determine whether you have relocated by using delivery addresses and location check-ins that members of your social circle inadvertently disclose. Intricate digital networks have been developed by these searching energies to keep an eye on your online activity across platforms that you aren't even aware they can access. In order to create thorough timelines of your activities, they cross-reference your activity with public databases, look for images in which you are tagged by friends, and examine background information in your social media posts for location hints. While some have created sophisticated catfishing profiles to friend your close contacts and obtain intelligence through seemingly innocent conversations, others have employed professional investigators or used employee connections at social media companies to obtain information that should be kept private. Your seekers' controllers have started using psychological warfare techniques to weaken your support network and cut you off from relationships that could shield you. They generate manufactured drama to turn your allies against one another, sow doubt about your goals or mental health among those who care about you, and circulate well-prepared rumors through mutual ties. They use character assassination operations under the pretext of worried observations about your recent behavioral changes in an effort to systematically destroy every positive relationship in your life, because they know that being alone makes you more susceptible to their manipulation attempts. When they believe your defenses may be compromised by stress, illness, or emotional difficulties, the energy vampires have banded together into relay teams and alternately try to cross your barriers. They keep an eye on your social media activity for indications of vulnerability, plan when to contact you to apply the greatest pressure during your trying times, and exchange information about the manipulation strategies that have worked best in the past against your unique psychological composition, to elicit your sympathetic reactions and compel you to overcome your protective seclusion. Some have even staged fictitious emergency scenarios involving friends or relatives. The strategic predators, who have been observing your evolution, have started to set up shop in areas where they think you might ultimately show up. They look into your field of work to get into networking events you might go to. They look into your spiritual interests to get into workshops or meditation centers that fit your growth path. And they infiltrate social groups associated with your new identity. These people are planning intricate traps that appear to be chance meetings, but are actually well-planned ambushes, since they know that your metamorphosis will eventually necessitate your coming out of seclusion. However, the forces of protection that surround your transformation have been keeping an eye on these concerted hunting attempts with equal sophistication, putting countermeasures in place that work much beyond your conscious awareness. By providing false leads, inaccurate information, and energetic distraction, guardian energies have been diverting these seeking energies from your true position and sending them chasing shadows while you stay safely concealed in plain sight. Protective interventions make sure you are led elsewhere if several seekers gather in one place in the hopes of finding you, whether it be through unexpected opportunities, startling inspirations, or unexplained desires to alter your plans. The spiritual safeguard that surrounds your metamorphosis also extends into the digital world, where higher dimensional intelligence networks tamper with surveillance tools, tamper with information collected about your activities, and produce fictitious digital footprints that mislead researchers about your present situation. When the technology is aimed at your energy signature, it malfunctions, leading to jumbled results that frustrate their efforts and drive them to doubt their own abilities. This is why their advanced tracking methods fail. Social media algorithms increase your visibility to souls who share your highest good, while concealing your content from others whose intents toward you are based on lower vibrational levels. The severity of the seeking behaviors directed at you has escalated to such previously unheard-of levels that they are having repercussions across numerous social networks, families, and community networks. Individuals who didn't know you well prior to your metamorphosis are mysteriously drawn into discussions about your whereabouts, frequently without knowing why. They feel obligated to give information about possible sightings or connections. This phenomenon demonstrates how your evolution is influencing the collective consciousness of all people who have ever come into contact with your energy field, producing an irresistible magnetic pull that defies understanding. Former co-workers constantly look through your professional networking pages to see if you've moved to a different industry or changed occupations. They look for hints about your current professional activity and your talents, endorsements, and connection additions. They may even contact your listed contacts under false pretenses to obtain information about your financial state and employment status. In an attempt to get forwarding information, some have even been in touch with your former employers. They say they need to get in touch with you for critical business matters, but their true objective is to regain access to your professional network and problem-solving skills. The energy vampires who used to depend on your emotional support are now exhibiting severe withdrawal symptoms, which include physical sickness, persistent exhaustion, and unstable mental states that necessitate medical attention. Since energetic reliance, not medical illness, is the underlying reason of their declining health, their doctors are unable to pinpoint specific causes. These people frequently talk about feeling as though they are slowly dying. They have enigmatic symptoms that go away when they are able to connect with other empaths, but they come back with greater vigor when those connections don't measure up to the level of energy they were able to extract from your system. When you give $100, not only we bear witness, but the sky bears witness. You are now one of those who are a bridge to heaven. Some energy vampires have gone to extreme lengths in their desperation, such as visiting your last known address even though they know you no longer reside there, phony calls to family members claiming they must reach you for urgent matters, and setting up several false social media profiles to get around the blocks you've put on their main accounts. In order to gather information about your current circumstances, They target shared friends with friendship requests and deceptive chats after looking for indications that you have kept in touch with particular people. The controllers who no longer have power over your choices have started using scorched earth strategies to punish you for breaking out of their web of manipulation, while also attempting to compel you to return to dynamics that suited their needs. They aim to harm your reputation and job prospects by spreading damaging rumors within professional networks, expecting that financial strain will leave you open to their offers of help. Some have gone so far as to harass you legally by bringing baseless lawsuits or fake complaints that are intended to deplete your funds and compel you to interact with them in court. In order to cause the most psychological harm while preserving plausible deniability regarding their involvement, these retaliation campaigns frequently entail coordinated character assassination attempts in which several controllers exchange tactics. After researching your known triggers and psychological weaknesses, they create well-planned attacks meant to erode your self-esteem and cause you to question the wisdom of your transformational path. In the hopes that desperation will force you to return to seeking their direction and approval, they are trying to persuade you that leaving their control has caused more issues than being under their influence. However, their increasing attacks are proof that your protective isolation was just what you needed and at the right moment. Every attempt at manipulation that is unsuccessful against your new consciousness serves as more proof that you have entirely changed beyond their ability to affect your reality. The same strategies that used to make you doubt your own senses now seem obvious and ludicrously ineffectual against your strengthened psychological boundaries and spiritual shields. Even those who are only loosely associated with your social network are experiencing inexplicable changes in their own consciousness and life situations as a result of the profound energetic shifts that your transformation has brought about. After hearing about your progress, friends of friends report feeling compelled to reevaluate their own relationships and life decisions. Others are now able to question their own compromises and start their own healing journeys because of your bravery in choosing authentic growth over comfortable limitation. This is causing expanding circles of consciousness elevation that threaten systems that keep people easily controlled and spiritually asleep. The dying throes of a whole frequency band that can no longer exist without access to your light are symbolized by the seeking energies that are hunting you. Similar to parasites that learn that their host has become immune to them, they are in a panic, which shows up as progressively more complex and desperate attempts to resume their previous feeding relationships. However, evolution only goes in one direction, and just as a butterfly cannot go back into its cocoon, neither can you go back to earlier iterations of yourself. The safeguarding of your transformation has been preparing you for the time when you will rise into the public eye with such bright, genuine strength that lower vibrational energies will find it quite difficult to stay close to your frequency without suffering great discomfort. Your pursuers will learn that the person they have been pursuing is really a figment of their imagination, whilst the entity you have transformed functions in accordance with universal principles that they are unable to understand or control. When they realize they are pursuing phantoms and you seize opportunities that fit your higher purpose, their well-coordinated hunting efforts will soon crumble under the weight of their own futility. Where they expected to find you have become portals to realities they cannot follow, and the situation they believed they could control has changed into conditions they cannot understand. By transforming from defensive shelter to offensive brightness, your security eliminates enemies before they have a chance to organize a coordinated attack on your goal. The hunted becomes the untouchable, and those who try to manipulate your circumstances find they can no longer even find the situation they believed they understood. This completes the circle. The chosen ones come out of their cocoons in this way, not by running away from their predators, but by changing so much that they are no longer able to identify them.